Hello, this is Dr. Devsena Desai here, and I'm from Kaveri Gifted Education and Research Center, Pune. It is a privilege to invite and talk with Mrs. Anjali Joshi, senior most psychologist and psychotherapist in Pune. My association with Mrs. Joshi has been for more than 15 years, since the time we've started associating through Nyan Prabodhini. And I've observed that she has a lot of work, especially her specialization is working with children 0 to 6 years, as she has her background also in early child development. So, hi, Anjali Tai, and I would like to, welcome you so that we could have a
Thank you,
dialogue and
Devsena.
interaction.
Thank you very much, Devsena.
Yeah. Uh, Mrs. Joshi, we work a lot with children, and I often wonder because most parents always ask us that when the child is so very young, you
Yes.
notice the child is showing being talented or gifted.
Mhm. Uh, Observation is one way of knowing whether your child is doing uh, is more advanced than most of the average children. For example, suppose if a child starts, generally child starts walking around 1 year old or talking by the time they are 1.5 year old. But if your child is walking by the time he is 10 months old or talking by the time they are 1 year old, I think you can assume that they are doing better in that particular area. Okay, so
Okay.
observation is one thing which is an indication of higher ability. I will give you one
Okay.
example, Krishna.
Yeah,
Uh,
sure.
there was a there was a baby who was just about 2 or 2.5 months old, and her mother used to
Mhm.
sing to her about a song about birds. And
Okay.
there was a bird mobile on her crib. So
Okay.
every time the mother sang that song, she used to point at the mobile.
Okay.
Okay. So the child got so fascinated that after 2 times, when the third time the mother started singing the song, the child started looking at the bird.
Mhm.
So these are the things which you'll find that they are very quick on uptake probably, and these are the kind of observations the mothers can do at a very early age.
Okay.
This is just one example. Then some kids start reading, rather recognizing alphabets by the time they are 13 months old, 14 months old,
Wow.
numbers, things like
Mm-hmm.
that. I've
Mm-hmm.
seen kids who do that.
Mm-hmm.
So these are definite indications that the child is advanced as far as these areas are concerned, I would say.
These days, parents, some of them have only one child, and everything that the child does becomes something very fascinating for the family. And they're
Mhm.
definitely doing much better than, their own parents because they are grasping things faster. You see fascination for mobiles, they are more quicker. And therefore, parents immediately think that my child is gifted because he remembers a song he has heard or he has seen this while we were driving. But how do we
Mhm.
really differentiate between this child who is showing fascination at times versus a
Mhm.
child who is talented or gifted?
See, there is a difference when we say that at age 4, a child is reading, for example. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, most of the kids who are been exposed to reading will probably start reading by memorizing the words that are there in the book.
Absolutely, because we read it so often for them. Every day we're reading the same
Exactly.
story.
Same story
Yeah.
10 times, and the child will remember, they will turn the page at the same sentence, and we feel that the child is reading. Okay, but you actually have to see whether the child is reading or not. If the same word appears somewhere and if a child can identify that word, that means the child is actually reading. Suppose if there is a word like there or them, and they see the same word somewhere else in a book, and they can say that this is there or them, then you know that the child is actually reading. Till then, it's just memorizing, and because we have been reading to them very often the same story, they remember it. That's it. So that is the difference. You have to realize that your child is just memorizing and saying things and not actually reading. Okay.
I have paused the thing because that recognition of alphabets and words that they do. Uh, is there some
Yes.
association as well?
Yes. I can give you two examples if we have the time.
Yeah,
One,
yeah.
a 14-month-old child mm, has blown bubbles in the school, play
Okay.
school, whatever you want to, or daycare, whatever you want to call it. And she comes home and she looks at the shade which is there, which is a round shade on the bulb, and she looks at it and she says it's a bubble.
Wow.
Another child who is 2 years old, um, her mother had taken her to a science museum where they saw about gravity and floating and stuff like that, she comes home, she's in a bathtub, and she says, there was a lot of foam. So she said, I'm floating. And then she
Okay.
says, there
Wow.
is no gravity here. So she has transferred that, what she saw there, she's transferred
So,
into her bathtub. So these are the kind of
wow.
which, of course, indicate that the child is definitely advanced.
Yeah. Another thing that I often tell is to look for consistency in the way the child is relating to things,
Mhm.
and to see if they are compared to their age group children, how many age group levels they are doing advanced is another
Mhm.
indicator also. When you put them in
Yes,
a play group and they start
definitely.
going to school, you can see that is my child first year level, is the child is like he can read up to second year level, his interactions is up to, those kind of indicators also really help. Really very interesting.
Yes.
I've been thinking that as parents, we often are, today we have so many wonderful toys, and each toy is so learner centric. How do parents really go about? And can you, what are the
Um,
choices that parents have, and how do they really go about it?
See, most of the times the kids, they start taking to puzzles, or they start reading books or puzzles or toys which are, or even Legos at a very early age. Maybe 3 years, 2 years, 3 years, they start with these kind of things, 4 pieces, 5 pieces, 10 pieces, and their parents realize that the child is doing 10 pieces at the age of 1 or 1.5. By the time
Mm,
they're 3, they may have moved on to 50 pieces of puzzles. Okay.
mm,
Or books which are meant for babies, they have grown, and they don't want to read those books anymore. They want to read something more challenging.
mm,
So these are the things which will give you again an indication, and that's where the parents can do something else along with the child. Like, I'll give you an example. Um Suppose if a child is doing very well with puzzles, or then a parent can think of showing a map, world map, and the child will know which country is where, what, and then they can draw a map, cut it, and ask the child to make a puzzle out of that.
mm,
So that will be a different activity where the child is, his interest is puzzle, so he's doing that, At the same time, he's learning different countries, continents, and maybe even the capitals of various countries, at the same time. So
This
the,
capital and city seems to be a very famous one, because you see a lot of parents encouraging children to find out cities,
yes,
you know,
yes, yes,
yeah. But
yes,
at times I find that when, like you said, when they do a road memory, really into memorizing it. So
Mhm.
that is just improving recall and memory. But not, when we're looking at the child really to be able to use that at different places. Like supposing you move from a desert place to another very similar place and says, oh, you remember when we visited Jaipur, we saw, and this is also like this. When you do
Mhm.
association, then you know that the child is making connections, which is really very interesting.
Correct, correct. Or if a child has seen something in one particular area and can transfer that same knowledge into another area, that also can be a indication of a child learning uh,
Okay.
more than what his
What?
peers are doing, probably.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
or seeing a surface
I find that.
which is like sand, but it's not actually sand, and the child can say that it is like
Mm,
sand, and so
mm.
maybe this is desert. Something like that. That shows that
Analysis that
he's
the child
transferring,
does.
yeah, transferring the knowledge in a different area. Yeah,
Okay.
you wanted to say something.
Uh, yeah, I was looking at drawing and sketching that children do a lot. Yeah.
Yes,
What kind
yes.
of directions parents should give in terms of drawing and sketching when kids do?
To be very honest, Devsena, that is a very creative area where the child can express himself or herself through colors, through drawings.
Especially that age, they enjoy
Exactly.
colors and yeah.
Yes, yes. And they're expressing their emotions as well along with that. They,
Okay.
yeah, they are not just using drawing as drawing per se,
Mm-hmm.
but they are expressing their emotions through the colors that they are using. If a child is angry, probably
Mm-hmm.
uh, a child will use black color or
Dark
darker,
colors.
darker colors. And if a child is happy, probably you will see the child using blues and greens and stuff like that. So it's
Yellows and
just instead of saying draw a table or draw a flower, let the child do what he or she wants.
ones.
And ask a child as to what is this drawing about. Can you explain this drawing? Because what we
Mm-hmm.
perceive as a flower may not be a flower for the child. It may be something completely
Child,
different.
yeah.
you know so you can ask the child as to what this drawing denotes for him or her.
I remember you share and during our conversation that when child does the drawing, as a child is still so small, he can't write, parents can write what the child has said in the same sheet or an adjacent sheet and make a kind of a scrapbook, because that gives a kind of connection to the child and completion. It just
Yes,
doesn't becomes an isolated activity of random drawings and
correct,
so that's really
correct,
very nice.
correct. Or they may
I
tell a story
also remember.
holding the drawing. They may tell a story, just
Mhm.
holding the drawing, and may tell a story about that drawing. That is also, you can write it for them
Yeah,
or record it for them, something like that. That can be also very interesting for them.
I know these days with mobiles, they can do a movie, they can do an edit, they can do a scrapbook. So many wonderful things. Really, very nice. Another area that I was always very curious about is that today parents really face is discipline, you
Mhm.
know, because
Mhm.
sometimes you have caretakers looking nannies or people going into daycare or other places. Sometimes you have grandparents parenting for the child. uh, it's become a challenge basically. How do you really handle children who are so small, how do you really start disciplining for them?
See, basically, parents have to decide what is acceptable and what is not acceptable as far as the children are concerned.
Okay.
Suppose if you say that
Mm-hmm.
a child has to have roti, sabzi, and dal for his meal as part of his meal, okay,
Mm.
and the child refuses to
Mm.
have that, and you have to insist consistently. You have to tell the child that no, this is the food that you are going to get, something like that. So you decide, first of all, the parents have to decide what is acceptable to them and what is not, and then draw those boundaries for the children as to uh, this is acceptable and this is not. You can go up to here and not here. Like a tricycle, a child
Mm.
is riding a tricycle. You can tell the child that you will ride a tricycle inside the compound and you will not go on the road, and
Mm.
like we maintain those boundaries for the children, and they
Mm.
have to listen to that. The child can't say that I will go on the road now.
Mm.
If the ball, they're playing with a ball goes on the road, the child is not allowed to go and pick up the ball from the road.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
So these are the things you have to tell the child that these are the things which you have to follow, and the caretaker also has to be briefed as to what is acceptable and what is not,
Was not acceptable.
and follow it consistently. Because what happens is, if there is no consistency, then that those boundaries have no meaning then.
Yeah.
So you
This,
have
I think, is very important because, parents get exhausted easily. They say, एक दो दिन try किया and then फिर वो कुछ सुनता नहीं है. Uh, it's not of 1 2 days. It's like, I believe in this and this is exactly how we do. At the same time, we cannot be very strict, where when the
rigid.
child is uncomfortable, it seems like having some tiredness, and then we're emphasizing it. So it can't be a powerful thing of, I'm the parent, you better listen, but also looking at child's physical comfort and needs and
Yes,
that.
yes, definitely. Definitely. There will always be some days when a child can, take liberties and say that I will not have roti and sabzi, but today I want to have something else. And the parent also agrees to that. That's the flexibility which one has to decide. How often? Again, it can't be a everyday affair, but once in a while, once in 15 days, if a child is tired of eating the same thing, you can provide the child with something else. But
We
as far
also
as
need
safety is
change.
concerned,
So
pardon?
we also require change. So say, I'm sure kids
Definitely,
do. Kids though,
definitely,
they require a lot of variety.
definitely.
Yeah,
But as far as safety is concerned, there are no compromises.
yeah.
As far as physical safety of a child is concerned, there cannot
There's
be any compromises. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. It's interesting when we're talking about discipline. With the other dimension to is encouraging. You know,
Mhm, mhm,
parents do a lot of encouraging and wanting to motivate the child to do
mhm.
something and enjoy it. So how do you really go about for such a very small age, basically? Because when you are encouraging the child, we are also scared that the child is not getting too impressed and start thinking of himself really being very great. So how does one really balance that?
Uh, I feel the encouragement has to be absolutely genuine. When you are praising a child, when you are saying something to a child, it has to be genuine. If a child has done, say, if he has played a song, for example, without making a mistake, you have to just say that today it was really nice that you played the song without making any mistakes, instead of saying, oh, that's a great job, I have never heard anyone play like that before. Don't give uh, statements which are not real, so to say.
Okay.
That is one part. Secondly, children will get bored very fast with one particular activity at that
Yes.
age.
Yeah.
So if today the child has taken to piano, doesn't mean necessarily that he or she will like it in another 2 months time.
Absolutely.
It's okay if
Mm.
a child doesn't want to pursue the same activity. Because most of the times parents will say, I've spent so much of money, I've done this for you, and you are refusing to go. No, that's not done. Okay. So you have to make sure, balance it out, how much you are spending for that child. Okay. If the child is so young, is there any point in buying something which is 20,000 rupees or 25,000 rupees worth instrument?
And we don't know how long the interest is really going to
Child.
be there. That
Yes.
attention span
Yes.
is so
Yes.
low. Yeah.
Yes.
We
That's
find
true.
this very common in our practice, right? That
Yes.
parents, yeah, they say that we have done so much for the child and the child is not grateful. This is another new area in terms of how do you really instill this value of, especially for gifted, who does everything quick, is always recognized by people, everybody saying sabash for it. So how do you really, bring in this value of being gratitude?
It's a it's a very big question, and I really, I've been thinking about this. That feeling grateful for what you have. There are two, three ways of doing it. One is that every night before a child sleeps, you can ask a child as to, they may not understand what is being grateful, but
Yeah.
you can, the child, what made you happy today? Can you give me three things, three examples, or three things that you can tell me that made you happy?
Mm,
Okay, what made you happy?
mm,
And you can give your own examples also, that
mm.
somebody
That's really
did
good. Yeah.
something for someone, and that person thanked me and I felt so nice.
Mm.
I helped my
Office colleague.
office colleague with her work, and she thanked me today because she was very grateful. You can use the word when you are talking about yourself, that she was very grateful, or I was very grateful for somebody helping me out.
Mm.
As a result, they will start, because they're smart, they will start understanding
Connecting. Yeah.
that, yes, that these are the things which don't come just like that.
Mm.
They are not free, so to say.
Mm, mm, mm. Absolutely.
And many times children are associating things with expensive toys.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, that's true.
you buy me 5,000 rupees worth thing, or you are buying me something worth 1,000 rupees, and then I think the 5,000 one is better than this one. Something like that, or that person is better because he has or she has given me this. So I have seen some parents and grandparents telling their children that the greatest gift you can give is
Mm.
smile every morning and
Wow.
give us a hug, and we feel very nice, because these are the things which we make us feel very happy. And if you smile, we are very happy about it.
Wow.
And this is the gift which you can give us.
Wow.
The
Yeah.
gift
That's a
in,
wonderful thing.
yeah, it shifts from money to something else. So
Else,
you are,
correct.
yeah, inculcating values as well as telling them that one should be grateful about these kind of things
Thing.
in life.
Uh, the last question that I would like to ask is that for parents, because today raising a child is a very daunting task, and parents often complain that it's so exhausting because this child has such an appetite for knowledge or for the kind of talent that he has. I am also very happy to be doing all those things, but it's really very exhausting. So parents often complain, and
Yes.
such times I feel that parents have given a lot more attention to the child than themselves. So parents need to pay attention. How can they go about, when to recognize it's enough and you need to take care of yourself as a parent?
See, parents have to start doing it right from the beginning, because they have to take care of themselves to take care of their children.
Child, yeah.
You can't, you can't just be with the child all the time. You have to be with an adult also, and you have to have some time for yourself as well. And there is no harm in telling a child that this is my time and I'm going to read, or I'm going to just lie down and listen to the music, and for the next 1 hour you are not going to disturb me. And if a child doesn't understand what 1 hour is all about, you can just put an alarm for the child and tell the child that till the time this alarm doesn't go, please don't come and disturb me. You know, something like that, because sometimes they can't even read the clock.
The clock, yeah.
If they can't read the clock, you can't do much about it.
Yeah.
And for them, time is a very abstract concept.
Yeah.
So either associate it with action, that, you know, till the time you're in school or something like that, or till the time you don't come and disturb me. Some kind of association for them, or put an alarm for the child and say that till the time the alarm doesn't go, you're not coming and disturbing. And make it a practice on a daily basis. Even if you have the energy to be with the child, once they know that this is the pattern which my mother follows or my father follows, they will realize that this time I cannot disturb my mother.
My parents, yeah.
My mother or father, whatever.
Yeah.
So they have to take care of themselves. They have to, or go for a walk, or anything for that matter that makes you feel nice about it, the day, so to say. But you have to have time for yourself. You can't just be with the child all the time. Not possible. No. Not healthy, I would say.
Yeah. Another very interesting and an important question that I want to ask is, these days, indulging children with either more books. Instead of one book, we can buy 2-3 books. Instead of one small toy, we can buy the largest toy. So there is no limit in terms of the kind of things. If it is not the parent, it is a chacha, mama, kaka, somebody is doing it, in the family. And the child becomes used to these things. So how much of these toys impact in learning, and what other ways that parents can find without having to utilize all money towards buying these expensive things?
Yes, I agree with what you're saying. The tendency is to, because the parents are very busy and they want to buy stuff for them and for their children, because this will increase their memory, this will increase their cognitive ability, this will increase their mathematical ability.
So many toys are coming with such words itself now. Yeah.
Yes. There are two ways of looking at it. One is, what values we are giving to the kids. That is one part. It's very individualistic, so I don't want to talk about that. Okay?
Absolutely. Yeah.
But another thing is that we are buying a toy, and are we actually spending time with the child with that toy? That is one part. Secondly, if I am utilizing stuff that is around me, like there are so many parcels which come, Amazon se aaya, or why not make use of the stuff that comes in your house? These are very young kids, 4, 5, 6-year-olds.
Absolutely.
They will play with that expensive toy for 2 days, 3 days, 5 days, and then it just goes in a cupboard.
Sometimes it's just an hour, parents say. 1 ghanta, and then the child is bored and say, what next now?
Not interested. Yeah. So parents can use the things that are there available with them. And like I was telling somebody, during the lockdown, there was a parent. What he did is that he made obstacle course for his kids with the pillows and spoons and stuff like that, and they were supposed to jump over it, or step on a pillow and then walk, something like that. There were rules which were given.
Walk, crawl, use all those things that they are. That's very interesting. Yeah.
So parents can think of doing things like this, because like you said, if they lose interest, they just lose interest in a particular toy, and then that toy is not touched at all. Here, at least you know that this is you are creating something along with them, and you're spending more quality time with a child and utilizing the stuff that is around your house.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
So you have to have a balance. I'm not saying that don't buy anything for a child. I'm just saying that you see where to draw a line. As a parent, they have to see where to draw a line.
Yeah.
Okay.
I recall a parent asking me, my child is a second grader and he's using about 35-piece puzzle. But children normally use only this much. What do I do? I mean, he's already done with it. Parents think small jumps is good because the child is growing and you need to do it like how you do in steps. Sometimes for some children, a leap is also a good one.
Yes.
So instead of just saying straight away, go for about 100 pieces.
Yes.
So, instead of waiting to do adding every time a 10-piece extra, something like that, 100, 150, 200. So then they can go for something which is more complicated or complex. At the same
Definitely.
time, if some of them are logically so good with numbers. So if they understand calculations, trying to do 2 digits, 3 digits doesn't make any sense because the child understands calculations. But trying to introducing it with multiplication, doing with decimal, a fraction, why not? I know that this would be a part of the school system, but that's another series that we will talk about next time in terms of how to really deal with issues which blend with school and the child. It was very interesting really talking with you, and I'm sure parents really enjoy, because these are things that we miss out and we keep thinking that we you know this child is very exhausting because the child learns so quickly and so fast, and as much as he's so fascinating, he becomes also a challenge. So thank you so much, Mrs. Joshi, and it's such a
You're
pleasure
welcome.
talking to you,
You're
because
welcome.
I see the wisdom of you having seen so many children and how naturally you're able to relate. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye.